We reserve a few minutes to discuss current trends that you'd expect from reading Bible prophecy. We are futurists. That means we interpret all unfulfilled prophetic passages as future events that will occur in a literal, physical, global, apocalyptic context. Biometrics, artificial intelligence, cashless commerce, the manipulation of human DNA, global government, the exponential growth of human knowledge, and the rebirth of national Israel are end times phenomena that the Bible predicts. All of these are increasingly trending in the news. In his prophetic sermon we call the Olivet Discourse, called by some the Little Apocalypse, Jesus said the end times would be like the days of Noah. Jesus specifically referenced strange marriages that were taking place in the days of Noah. If you look to Genesis chapter 6, you're told that certain fallen angels were marrying human women. Their offspring were called Nephilim, and they were a race of unusual giants. The Old Testament talks about giants in many places. For example, 10 of the Israelite spies reported there were giants in the Promised Land. The giants were so big that they made the spies seem like grasshoppers in comparison. Their fear of these Nephilim is why they refused to enter the land that God was giving them. These giants were not just tall men. At least one is described as being 15 feet tall, so that they weren't just Shaquille O'Neal. They were huge, maybe 1,000 pounds, maybe more, agile warriors. And there's information, extra biblical information, that they were cannibals as well. They were a corruption of human genetics. It was mainly on account of the corruption of human DNA that God sent the global flood. He spared Noah and company, and he said of them they were righteous in their generations, meaning their DNA. They were the last 8 that had pure human DNA that wasn't affected by this satanic invasion, and they would restore the human race. We should therefore expect tampering with human DNA to become prevalent. Jesus said that kind of thing was happening in Noah's day. It was happening through angels marrying women, but we should expect it again. Not necessarily the angels marrying women, but in some other way. Synthetic biology. How many of you have heard of synthetic biology? Raise your hand. God bless you. A couple of you. How many of you heard of biology? Synthetic biology is something we are mostly unaware of that is becoming more prevalent. It is defined as redesigning organisms for useful purposes by engineering them to have new abilities. The National Academies of Science said, synthetic biology, a field that creates technologies for engineering or creating organisms, is being used for a variety of purposes that benefit society. Applications include treating diseases, improving agricultural yields, and remediating pollution. Even though synthetic biology holds great promise in many areas, it is possible to imagine harmful uses that could threaten the United States. As far back as 2016, the New York Times reported, scientists are now contemplating the fabrication of a human genome, meaning they would use the chemicals to manufacture all the DNA contained in human chromosomes. The prospect is spurring both intrigue and concern in the life sciences community because it might be possible, such as through cloning, to use a synthetic genome to create human beings without biological parents. Another article I read on a science site raised a similar concern. The author wrote, "It may be interesting to consider the odds that through synthetic biology, we may generate an entity of life that could occur naturally in the future through evolution. This brings us to the question whether we place more value on maintaining or on influencing the course of nature. Some would argue that meddling with what we know to be naturally occurring constitutes the role of playing God. No living being has been able to create life from inorganic matter, but if synthetic biology makes that feasible, then people may consider this to be overstepping human limitations and harboring the power to control or rise above nature." You can do searches. There are lots of articles about human genome and altering DNA and the things that people are trying to do and wanting to do. And it always reminds me of what the Lord said at the Tower of Babel. He says they're going to be able to do whatever they want if we don't stop them. And so science is pushing forward in this weird area of changing DNA, some of it good, most of it bad. Our purpose today is to just say, hey, Jesus said in the last days, this almost unheard of possibility is going to be happening, where they're going to be messing with what it means to be human. Now, we believe the resurrection and rapture of the church are imminent events. Could happen at any moment. Nothing needs to happen before the Lord comes to raise the dead in Christ and then rapture living believers. Are you ready for the rapture? If not, get ready, stay ready, keep looking up. Ready or not, Jesus is coming.